Welcome to Stories with Gaming, where drama meets gameplay. From outrageous family secrets to quiet revenge, toxic friendships to moments of redemption, we cover it all, straight from Reddit's wildest threads. While the story unfolds, you'll see gameplay in the background, sometimes intense, sometimes chill, but always a perfect match for the chaos or calm of each tale. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your daily update. My name is Marcus. I'm 34 now, and until a couple of months ago, I was engaged to a woman named Elise, who's 30. We were living in Asheville, North Carolina, tucked into a modest but cozy rental just outside the city. Nothing fancy, but it had a little balcony with a view of the Blue Ridge, and that always felt like enough. We'd been together nearly 7 years, engaged for 2. This wasn't some whirlwind fling. Ours was a love built slowly, like layering bricks. Steady and intentional. We met working double shifts at a small outdoor gear shop near the Smokies. She was still in grad school. I'd just gotten promoted to assistant manager. We bonded over cheap coffee, car trouble, and long talks about doing better than our parents did. We scraped by at first, juggling shifts, splitting groceries down to the dollar, handing each other rent cash in envelopes like roommates. There was even a stretch where we had to move in with her parents after I got laid off. I remember that small basement bedroom with a space heater and no door. She hated being back there, but she never blamed me. We made it through that year. We were a team, so by the time we got engaged, it felt earned. We had our routines down, shared Spotify playlists, pet peeves memorized, and a bank account that finally wasn't in the red every week. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. At least, that's what I thought. It happened 3 months before the wedding. The venue was locked in, a lakeside spot in upstate South Carolina. Elise had dreamed about since college. The invites had gone out. Her dress fittings were booked. We'd made a spreadsheet for table arrangements, and then, one random Thursday, she came home from work, dropped her bag, and stood in the kitchen like she was about to tell me her grandmother died. "Can we talk for a second?" she asked. Her tone made my chest tighten. "Of course," I said. I turned off the burner on the pasta and gave her my full attention. That's when she exhaled hard, eyes on the floor. "I've been thinking," she said slowly. "I feel like I haven't really lived." At first, I thought she meant something like travel. Maybe she wanted to take a solo trip or quit her job and go work on a vineyard in Oregon or something. So I asked, "What do you mean exactly?" And then she said it. "I want to try an open relationship, just for a little while, before we get married." I blinked. "What? I love you, Marcus. I do, but I've never been with anyone else long term. I need to be sure." It felt like someone knocked the wind out of me. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just stared at her. "We've been together 7 years, Elise. You're sure enough to book a wedding, but not to stay in it?" She started crying then, big dramatic tears wiping them with the sleeve of her cardigan. "It's not that I don't love you. I just don't want to wonder about what I missed." I told her no. Firm, flat, no. I wasn't interested in trying to love someone while they explored others. I told her I wasn't going to share her with anyone. This wasn't the start of a fight. It was me drawing a line in the sand. She called me controlling, said I didn't understand her emotional needs, said I was being insecure and stuck in a conventional box. Her words, not mine. She insisted she'd still be emotionally committed, that this was just physical, and that freedom could actually deepen our bond. I wanted to laugh. Instead, I just walked out on the balcony and stood there for 20 minutes until she stopped talking. The next few days were surreal. She sent me articles, podcasts, studies about how modern couples were rethinking monogamy. She texted me screenshots of Reddit posts and attachment quizzes. Every time I said no, she gave me this look, like I was the one with a problem, like I was being backward and close-minded for not wanting to watch my fiancé go on casual dates with strangers. Eventually, I just stopped engaging. I started asking myself, was she already talking to someone? Was this a smokescreen? So I asked, "Is there someone in particular you're interested in?" She smirked, like I'd asked something adorably naive. "No, this isn't about anyone. I just don't want regrets." That night, I sat quietly as she laid out ground rules like we were hashing out a business agreement. No sleepovers, no emotional connections, full honesty, no falling in love. She seemed prepared, like this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment idea, like she'd been reading the fine print and waiting for the right time to present it. I agreed, calmly, without fanfare. "Okay," I said. "Let's try it." She blinked. Didn't believe me at first. "Really?" "Sure." She lit up, actually lit up like a Christmas tree. And right then and there, she downloaded a dating app on our couch, propped her feet on the coffee table, and started swiping, laughing, showing me profiles. "Look at this guy. Looks like a low-budget Hemsworth." I excused myself and went to bed. That moment, that was when everything inside me started to shut off. I didn't feel jealousy or heartbreak. Just a switch flipping to off. I wasn't going to fight her. I wasn't going to beg. I just stopped caring. Over the next week, she made it clear she wasn't wasting time. First, it was drinks with some guy named Carter, a travel nurse with amazing stories. Then it was yoga class with Brett, super grounded, spiritual type. And finally, Friday night drinks with someone she vaguely called a guy I met at the gym. She gave me little updates like I was supposed to keep score or cheer her on. I didn't bite. I nodded, said cool, went back to whatever I was doing. That seemed to unsettle her. Maybe she expected resistance, drama, proof that I cared, but all I gave her was indifference. Then one night, as she was getting ready for another date, I thought about Camille. Camille and Elise had once been inseparable, grew up 2 streets apart in a suburb outside Raleigh. Same Girl Scout troop at same high school drama club, college roommates, the kind of best friends who had matching tattoos and called each other sister in captions. I used to joke that if I married Elise, I was marrying Camille too. But 2 years ago, that all went up in smoke. We were hosting a cookout, low-key, just a few friends and family. Elise went inside to refill drinks, and Camille came out to the patio where I was grilling. She leaned in and said, "If she doesn't marry you, she's an idiot." I laughed, thought it was just girl talk. But then she added, "Seriously, she takes you for granted, always has." I didn't respond, just kept flipping burgers. I told Elise later, she lost her mind, blocked Camille on everything, said she'd never forgive the betrayal. Camille was out of the picture, until now. I hadn't spoken to her since. But that week, in the middle of Elise's exploration era, I figured, why not? I messaged Camille. "Hey, random, I know. Elise wants an open relationship," I agreed. Not reaching out to stir the pot. Just thought it might be good to catch up. "Grab coffee?" She responded in 4 minutes. "You're serious? Wow, yeah, let's talk." We met at a coffee shop across the city, in a part of town Elise never visited. Neutral ground. Camille looked different. Hair shorter, posture straighter, eyes a little less forgiving. But she smiled when she saw me. "Marcus," she said, like it was both a greeting and a sigh. We sat and talked for 2 hours. No flirting, no tension, just 2 people airing out the weird weight of their pasts. She didn't bash Elise. She didn't try to angle for anything. But she did say this: "I always thought you were the only stable thing in her life. I just didn't think she'd trade that for novelty." I told her I wasn't trying to win her back or make Elise jealous. I wasn't even sure why I'd reached out. Maybe I just wanted to be seen by someone who didn't treat me like a placeholder. She nodded. Sometimes being understood is more important than being right. I went home lighter than I'd felt in weeks. When I walked in, Elise was on the couch with a face mask and a glass of wine. "Where were you?" she asked, flipping through Netflix. "I got coffee with Camille." She froze. "Camille?" I nodded. "You're joking." "Nope." She stared at me like I'd set the apartment on fire. "That's my ex-best friend?" I shrugged. "Yeah, you cut her off. I didn't." She stormed into the bedroom. I didn't follow. The silence that followed was heavy, but it didn't feel like guilt. It felt like clarity. She wanted an open relationship, but only for her. She wanted to rewrite the rules, but expected me to keep playing my old part. That night, I slept like a rock. And in the morning, for the first time in weeks, I felt like myself again. The day after I told Elise I'd met up with Camille, the mood in our apartment turned glacial. She barely looked at me. No more, "How was work?" No more commentary on weather or what we should order for dinner. Just silence, mixed with the sharp clinks of her spoon in the yogurt bowl or the way she slammed a cabinet door a little harder than necessary. It was surreal. Elise had been on a half-dozen dates in under 2 weeks, updating me with smug little tidbits like, "He says I have the kind of smile that feels like home," or This one teaches rock climbing. Can you believe that? But me having coffee with someone she used to know, someone she erased from our lives, suddenly made me the villain. The double standard wasn't subtle. She wanted freedom, but not for me. She wanted to date, explore, flirt, but if I talked to anyone else, especially someone familiar, it was emotional war. That's when it started to click. This whole open relationship idea, it wasn't about mutual growth. It was about her being in control. A couple of days later, she changed tactics. She started giving me play-by-play updates of her dating life, more frequent and louder than before, like she was auditioning for attention. I met someone at the co-op yesterday. His name's Julian. He runs a candle business and volunteers with shelter dogs. Cool, I'd say, without looking up from my laptop. Oh, and Caleb from the art walk? He said I have best taste in music he's ever seen on a dating profile. Sounds like a keeper. She didn't like that. The more indifferent I became, the more she tried to provoke something. Anything. Once she accidentally left her phone open on the counter, showing a shirtless pic a guy had sent. Another time, she came back from a date giggling and smelling like someone else's cologne. I said nothing. Just moved my dinner from the stove to my plate and ate in silence. I wasn't trying to win any wars. I wasn't playing reverse psychology. I was just done. And she could feel it. Meanwhile, Camille and I started texting more. Still innocent, still friendly, but easier, lighter. She'd send me random memes or TikToks with captions like, "This is your future if you keep letting people walk on you," or reminds me of your ex's Pinterest wedding phase. They made me laugh. And I realized I hadn't laughed around Elise in months. Camille never crossed lines. She never tried to pull me toward anything. She was just present. And right now, I needed someone who didn't look at me like a mistake. One evening, I was on the couch replying to Camille when Elise walked past and paused. "Who are you texting?" she asked, not casually. "Camille." Her eyes narrowed. "You're seriously okay with that? You're seriously okay with 5 dating apps, 3 hookups, and weekly wine nights with guys named River and Ash, but not this?" She folded her arms. "It's different. Camille's not some rando." "No, she's not. That's what makes it easier." That one landed. She stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. The next day, her brother Corey called me. He's 2 years younger than Elise, a mechanic who always played the cool, neutral middleman. We'd worked on my old Honda together, shared beers after Sunday football. We weren't best friends, but we were solid. "Hey man, can we talk?" "About Elise?" I asked. "Yeah, she's a mess right now." I snorted. "So am I, but no one's calling her out for it." She just feels betrayed, you know? Betrayed? For what? For having a latte with someone she ghosted 2 years ago. You gotta admit, man, Camille's a sore spot. I was tired of this script. She pushed for this. I told her no, multiple times. Then I finally gave in. And now everyone's shocked that I'm not sitting at home polishing the ring while she's out taste testing other guys. He didn't have a comeback for that. "Look," he finally said, "I'm not trying to start a fight. Just don't make it worse." I ended the call. Didn't even say bye. A few days later, Elise tried another angle. We were both home on a Sunday, the air tense but quiet. She came into the living room with 2 mugs. Mine had oat milk, just how I liked it. She sat down next to me on the couch, her voice low and cautious. "I feel like we're drifting," I nodded. That's what happens when one person decides to rewrite the relationship script mid-season. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I didn't say anything. She continued. "I thought maybe this would help us, make us stronger." "You thought dating other people would help us?" I said, calmly. She bit her lip. "I don't know what I thought. I just felt stuck, like maybe I missed out." "You didn't miss out. You panicked, and now you want to pretend the damage didn't happen." She looked wounded, but she didn't deny it. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. "You lost me the second you made me feel like an option." I got up and went to the balcony. From that point on, her mood started changing again. She bounced between trying to seduce me with sweet dinners and bathrobes to crying at night and asking if I still saw a future with her. I didn't play along. I thanked her for the meals, slept on my side of the bed, gave her space when she cried, but didn't try to comfort her. I wasn't being cruel. I was just done pretending she didn't light the match. The final conversation came on a Saturday afternoon. She'd made lemon pasta, one of her best dishes, and set the table like it was date night. No phones, no TV, just candles and wine. Halfway through the meal, she looked at me across the table and said, "I want to end the open relationship." I chewed slowly, then swallowed. "Okay." Relief bloomed across her face. Her eyes softened, shoulders dropped. She thought we were about to tie things back together. Then I added, "And I want to end the relationship." Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. "What?" I looked her in the eye. "I'm not interested in going backward." This broke something in me, and no pasta or apology is going to glue it back. "You're serious?" As a heart attack. Her face turned red, her voice cracked. "Marcus, we've built our whole lives together." "No, I built a future with someone who doesn't believe in running trial versions of love." She stood up so fast the chair scraped loudly against the floor. "You're being dramatic." "You were being disrespectful." "We can fix this." "No, you broke it. I just didn't stop you." She cried. She shouted. She called me cold, calculated, immature. She said Camille had clearly manipulated me into this. Said I must have been planning this for months. She was throwing darts in every direction, hoping something would land. When she said you should have stopped me before it went too far, I finally snapped. I did. 5 times. You didn't listen. That ended the conversation. She grabbed her keys and left. Didn't come back until after 1 a.m. I was already asleep. The next day, her mother called me. No greeting, just instant scolding. "I can't believe you're doing this," she said. "Hi, Dana. Nice to hear from you." She's devastated. She's the one who wanted to date other men before our wedding. She just needed to be sure. And now I'm sure I'm done. "You're giving up too easily." No, I gave her every chance. She bet the house on a wild idea, and now she's mad the house burned down. She started crying. I hung up. Her father sent me a 3-paragraph Facebook message a few hours later about loyalty, commitment, and how real men don't walk away when it gets hard. I replied, "Appreciate the input, Steve," and archived the message. A week passed. Elise barely said anything, but the air in the apartment was thick with finality. She wandered around like she was waiting for someone to tell her what came next. I stayed quiet. On Wednesday night, I came in from the gym, grabbed a bottle of water, and said, "You should start packing." She looked up from her phone like I just said the house was on fire. "What? You need to move out." "Are you kidding me?" "I'm not. This isn't your home anymore." "Marcus, this is my lease, my name, my money. You were here because we were planning a life. That life is done." Her lips trembled. "So you're throwing me out?" "No, I'm giving you what you asked for, freedom." The tears came, predictably. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a monster for letting them fall. She tried to twist it, claimed she didn't cheat, said she didn't sleep with any of them, said I was overreacting. I shrugged. "It's not about sex. It's about the fact that I became optional." She whispered, "I have nowhere to go. You have a family, a brother, a long list of men who apparently thought you looked 25. You'll figure it out." That night, I left a few boxes outside the bedroom door. In the morning, I printed a list of things she needed to update, mailing addresses, subscriptions, package deliveries, and taped it to the fridge. No yelling. No drama. Just facts. At noon, I got a text. "You're really making me leave?" I replied, "I'm not making you. I'm letting you." She didn't respond to the text. Not that day. Not the next. But I noticed a shift. She started packing, quietly, methodically. No fanfare. Just folding clothes into duffel bags, stacking framed photos on the dining table, wrapping mugs in bubble wrap. No tantrums, no manipulation. She stopped talking to me altogether. I'd pass by the hallway and catch her just standing there, holding a shirt or staring at a drawer, like she was realizing she no longer belonged in this space. Once, I caught her sitting cross-legged on the rug, staring at our old scrapbook, the one with ticket stubs from summer festivals and menus from tiny restaurants we loved. She didn't cry. Not then. But her face looked like it wanted to. That night, she knocked on my door. I was in bed, reading. She stepped in and said, "I didn't think you'd actually go through with this." I put the book down. "I didn't think you'd want to try sleeping with strangers 3 months before our wedding. But here we are." She opened her mouth like she wanted to fight that, but nothing came out. So she just nodded and left the room. Her final night in the apartment was a Friday. She didn't say it, but I knew. She slept on the couch again, like we were already 2 strangers forced to share a temporary shelter. I stayed in the bedroom. No good nights, no apologies. The morning came and I heard her moving around, dragging her bags toward the door. I stayed seated at the kitchen counter, sipping my coffee, watching steam curl upward in the quiet. The door opened. She paused. Then it closed. That was it. No dramatic goodbye. No whispered regret. Just a door shutting behind the person who'd been part of every plan I'd made for the last 7 years. That weekend, I met Camille for a walk at the botanical gardens. The air was warm, but not hot. The path we chose looped through wildflowers and creaking trees. She didn't say much at first. Neither did I. Eventually, she broke the silence. "You look less haunted," she said with a smirk. "Yeah, probably because I'm finally out of a house that felt like a mausoleum." She laughed. "So, it's official?" "Yup, Elise moved out yesterday." She didn't offer sympathy, just a nod of acknowledgement, like she understood that this wasn't a moment that needed sadness, just recognition. "How was it?" she asked. I thought for a moment. "Quiet," I said. "No yelling, no begging. She packed when I wasn't home. I think she knew nothing she could say would fix it." Camille looked out at a group of kids playing on a hill nearby. Did she try at all? Like, really try? I hesitated, not in a way that mattered. The walk continued. There were long stretches of silence, but it wasn't awkward. Camille didn't fill space just to fill it. She let things breathe. Eventually I said, "You know what's funny?" "What?" She genuinely thought I'd never actually walk away, even after she downloaded dating apps in front of me, even after her 5th date in 2 weeks, even after bragging about how some guy at yoga said she had untouched goddess energy. She still thought I'd just be waiting there. "Some people believe in backup plans more than they believe in people," Camille said. "Yeah," I replied. I think I was her safety net, her plan A in case plan B through Z didn't work out. Camille raised an eyebrow. "And now?" I kicked a small pebble off the path. Now she's finding out what it feels like when the net walks away. Later that night, I got a text from Elise's mom. It was short this time. "I hope you're proud of yourself." I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? That I was proud of standing up for myself after months of being emotionally dragged through the mud? That I was done being made to feel like love meant accepting betrayal? Her dad didn't text this time. But I wouldn't have read it if he did. They could keep their commentary. I wasn't their project anymore. The following week, I cleaned the apartment top to bottom, not in a sad, this place still smells like her way, but in a reclaiming my space way. I boxed up the wedding binders, returned the registry scanner, and canceled the venue. Lost a couple of deposits, but it felt worth it, like shedding a too tight skin. I even rearranged the living room. New layout, different flow. She wouldn't recognize the place now. Good. Camille and I started talking more, not just about Elise or the mess, but real things. Life. Work. Her new position at a nonprofit helping first-gen college students. My upcoming promotion. The dumb antics at our old gear shop jobs. One night, she said, "Is it weird that I feel guilty for how easy this feels?" I tilted my head. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. You just got out of a long relationship. I was once public enemy number 1, and now we're here talking like none of it happened." I thought for a second. "It's not weird," I said. "It's just honest. No one's pretending. No games. That's the weird part for me." She smiled, but it wasn't smug. It was soft. Careful, like she didn't want to scare away the peace we were both starting to feel. One Thursday night, about 2 weeks after Elise moved out, she called. Not a text, not a voicemail, an actual phone call. I let it ring 4 times before I answered. "Hey," I said flatly. There was a long pause. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from." "Probably," I said. She exhaled. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry." I didn't speak. I thought I was chasing freedom, but I was just running away from something I didn't even understand. And when you didn't stop me, it made me realize how far I'd pushed. Still, I didn't speak. "I know I hurt you, and I don't expect anything. I guess I wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did." I waited another beat. Then I said, "Thank you for saying that." That's all. I didn't offer comfort. I didn't ask her how she was doing. We said goodbye like 2 people who used to share a life but no longer shared a direction. She didn't call again. The strange thing about heartbreak is how quiet it becomes once you stop trying to fix what broke. People expect chaos, screaming matches, teary declarations, begging. But that's not always how it ends. Sometimes it just dissolves, like breath on a mirror. And that's exactly what Elise became, a fading reflection of the life I almost had. A few days later, Camille and I were at a small street fair. Local art vendors, handmade soaps, acoustic music on a folding stage. I turned to her while we were waiting in line for lemonade and said, "You know, I used to think I was terrible at relationships." She gave me a look. "You?" "Yeah, like maybe I was too rigid, too traditional, too boring. Elise made me feel like I was holding her back from living." "Marcus," Camille said, "you weren't the problem. She just didn't know how to love someone who stood still long enough to actually see her." I smiled, but it didn't reach all the way. "That's kind of tragic." "It is," she agreed, "but it's also over." As we walked through the crowd, I realized something. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking back. Not to wonder if I could have saved it. Not to count what I lost. Just forward. That door had shut, and I had no interest in unlocking it again. 3 months after Elise moved out, her final box still sat in the hall closet. I'd offered to drop it off twice, and both times she said she'd come by and get it. She never did. Eventually, I carried it out to the curb. A neighbor passing by asked if it was free. I said, "Take it." That felt like a fitting end. I didn't see Elise again until a mutual friend's birthday in mid-June. It was one of those rooftop bar things in Durham. Sunset drinks, ambient music, people pretending they weren't watching each other for drama. Camille came with me. Elise was there, already seated at a high-top table, sipping something citrusy. Her eyes widened slightly when she saw us together. Camille gave a nod. I gave nothing. We didn't approach. We didn't avoid. Just existed in the same space like two people who once meant everything and now meant absolutely nothing. Someone asked me later if it was awkward. I said, "Only if you expected closure." Camille and I didn't fall into anything fast. We took our time. There were boundaries, caution, even a few moments where we checked in, asking, "Is this okay? Or are we crossing lines?" But the more time we spent together, the more it just made sense. There was no pretending, no balancing acts, no ego wars, just laughter, honesty, shared glances that said more than most conversations. One night over pizza and bad horror movies, Camille said, "I used to imagine us together. Back when we were all still friends." "Yeah," I asked, handing her the last slice. She nodded. "But I always felt like I'd be the bad guy, like I'd be ruining something perfect." I shrugged. "Turns out it wasn't perfect. It was just propped up really well." She smiled. "I'm glad the illusion broke." "Me too." I didn't block Elise. I didn't scrub her from my photos. I didn't pretend she never existed. I didn't need to. Sometimes people want you to delete every trace to prove you've moved on. But healing isn't always about erasure. Sometimes it's about indifference. Her presence no longer stung. Her name didn't weigh anything. When memories popped up in my photo app, I just scrolled past them. Not with anger, just absence. That's how I knew I was finally free. A few weeks later, I bumped into Elise's brother, Corey, at the hardware store. I was buying caulk and new shelves for the kitchen. He gave a polite nod, then said, "You look good." "Thanks," I replied. "You do too." There was a long pause before he added, "She's not doing great." I didn't ask. He said it anyway. "She thought you'd come back eventually." I looked him in the eye and said, "She never really knew me then." He nodded. "That's what I told her." I got invited to 3 weddings that summer. I went to one. It was a beach wedding, nothing fancy. Just friends and laughter and vows that didn't feel performative. Camille came with me. We danced like idiots during the reception, the kind of spinning, foot-stomping nonsense that made strangers smile. At one point, a woman at our table leaned over and said, "You two are cute. How long have you been together?" Camille looked at me and smirked. I said, "Still figuring that out." People asked, of course. Friends, coworkers, acquaintances who knew we were once Marcus and Elise. What happened? I gave a different version each time. She wanted something I couldn't give. Or, we grew in opposite directions. Or, she needed to explore and I needed to leave. All true. None complete. No one gets the full story unless they lived it. And even then, it doesn't matter anymore. Camille and I eventually did get together. Officially. There was no big conversation. No moment where we drew a line and stepped over it. It just happened. It was easy. Familiar. But more than anything, it was honest. She never made me feel like a backup plan. She never treated love like a contract to be renegotiated at the first sign of boredom. She just showed up, every day, exactly as she was. And so did I. One rainy Saturday, maybe 6 months after Elise moved out, I found an old Polaroid wedged behind a bookshelf. It was from the engagement photo session we'd done by the lake. In it, we were laughing, her head on my shoulder, sunlight in our faces. I looked at it for a while, not with sadness, not with anger, just curiosity. Who the hell were we back then? I said aloud. Then I slid the photo into a drawer and went to make coffee. A year passed. Camille and I moved in together. A new place, fresh paint, a different view. We still made fun of each other's Spotify playlists. Still debated whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It does. Still laughed harder than we probably should at stupid cat videos. One night, as we sat on the couch, her head on my chest, she said, "You ever think about her anymore? Elise?" She nodded. I took a moment. Not really. And when I do, it's like thinking about a book I didn't finish. I don't regret it. I just know the ending wasn't worth reading. Camille smiled. Fair. Sometimes you don't need revenge or loud closure. You just need distance. Peace. A life that doesn't include them. Elise taught me a lesson I never wanted to learn. Even people who love you can forget your worth when they go looking for things they think they're missing. And when they come back, what they really want is the comfort of the version of you that stayed frozen while they wandered. But I didn't stay frozen. I moved. This isn't a story about heartbreak. It's a story about someone realizing they'd rather be alone than tolerated, about choosing peace over proximity, and about the quiet power of walking away before the door slams, before the screaming starts, before you forget who you were before they tried to redefine you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?